Alright, so it's been a few months since I put out my last production video, which was called How to Produce a Cinematic Indie Folk Song from Scratch. By the way, if you haven't seen it yet, I will throw a link to it in the description below, so feel free to check it out after this video. But anyway, as usual, life got pretty crazy. The biggest thing was I ended up moving to a new place, which means I had to tear the old studio down and rebuild it all at the new place from scratch, which was not in the slightest an easy task. But luckily, finally settled in. Everything's coming together pretty well. There's a couple cool new additions to the room, like that wood diffuser panel behind me, which I actually built myself, which was not easy and was really freaking heavy to hang up. But came out pretty cool. Got some plants, feeling a little bit more lively. But yeah, so other than that, I'm just stoked to be back making music again, and most of all to be sharing the production process with you guys. I wanted to briefly say a massive thank you to all the people who watched and enjoyed the last production video. And I gotta be honest, it kind of exceeded my expectations. There was a lot of you that left some very encouraging comments. A lot of you seemed to enjoy it and get a lot of value out of it, which overall was my main goal of that video. It was to share the process of me making a song from scratch and just kind of giving you a window to that process and how that looks from start to finish. So with that being said, I'm gonna keep them coming. I really do enjoy doing them, and it seems like you guys like them too. So here we are. Now before we kick things off, if you're new to the channel or you're just stumbling across this video, my name is Justin Mola. I am a singer-songwriter, producer, and an audio engineer out here in Orlando, Florida. And my main goal, both in general and with these videos, is to just make meaningful, impactful music while also sharing the process that goes into that, so I can hopefully inspire you guys to do the same. Now with all that being said, let's produce a song from scratch. Alright, so the song that I want to dedicate this video to is a bit of a darker song. It's very emotional, very meaningful, and the message is pretty much about me trying to cope with all the crazy things that are literally happening right now in the world. And I really felt compelled to write this song because I know for me, as a younger adult, sitting here witnessing the dark state that our world is in right now, it makes me very uneasy when I think about the future. It's really something that I think all of us can relate to, and all of us are going through right now. And it's worth mentioning, the song isn't meant to be depressing. It's not meant to portray the message that there's no hope or the world's over, anything like that. Honestly, it's quite the opposite. I tried to write it in a way that is very reflective and kind of just points out from my perspective what I'm experiencing in the world today. And I know many of us are experiencing a lot of the same things. But ultimately, I think it's important, and it's a good reminder for us to remember not to focus on what divides us, because we all have different beliefs, different ways of viewing life. But the one thing that has always connected us is realizing that we're all humans. We're all capable of loving each other, and we're all capable of seeing past our differences, whether that be beliefs, looks, anything like that. All of those things to me are just on the surface. But what really matters to me is the heart and the soul inside of each person. So all that can be a little cheesy, a little uncomfortable to talk about, but just to give you a frame of reference for where my mind was at before I started writing this song, and hopefully it kind of makes sense as we go along. Alright, so going off all that, I started to kind of brainstorm on how I wanted to start producing this song. And 9 times out of 10, I'm always going to go for my guitar first and try to demo it out there. And I'll be completely honest, when it comes to which guitar I picked, whether it's instinct or something else, I don't know, I automatically reached for not a regular guitar, but my rubber bridge guitar. Now, if you're not familiar with a rubber bridge guitar, it's pretty much like any other guitar, more or less. But the main difference is on the bridge where the strings lay. Instead of the material being plastic or bone like a lot of guitars, it's rubber. So naturally it gives it that kind of dark, dead, muted sound. And you've definitely heard this sound on a lot of songs, some Taylor Swift songs, a lot of indie folk songs have used this tone. Now there's a lot of ways you can utilize this sound, but just from my own experimentation, I think it sounds best DI, or the direct sound coming from the guitar, versus how it sounds in the room acoustically. Now, if you ever tried to record acoustic guitar, you'll find that the opposite is true. It sounds way better with a mic recording it acoustically versus the DI jack that you would use for a live gig or something. So just for example's sake, I'm gonna play the chord progression for this song. I'm gonna show you guys how it sounds acoustically recorded with a mic, and then I'm gonna show you how it sounds direct right out of the guitar. So obviously a massive difference. I think the DI sound is so vibey, so dry and muted and dark. So obviously if I'm trying to build a sound from a rubber bridge guitar, I could mic it, I could use the DI, I could use a combination of both. But in this case, and from personal taste, I'm probably gonna lean more into the DI sound just because it has that vibe to it. I don't know, just something about it sounds freaking awesome. So with that being said, the first thing I want to do is lay down the guitar part, kind of get the structure flushed out, and kind of set the foundation for the song. So I kind of fleshed out the tempo ahead of time, so I'm just gonna add a click track real quick, and it's at 147, 3/4. All right, so I'm gonna try my luck with a take of the DI guitar, and honestly it's about 85 to 90% of the sound I'm going for. But I know I'm probably going to want to mess around with some effects to give it a little more vibe and some character. Because even though it sounds kind of cool already, it's just not there yet. But anyways, that's an experiment for later on. But for now, I'm going to lay down the take and see what happens. Check it out. Yeah, for me, it's just the low end resonance that I'm not really a fan of. Like every time I hit those low notes, it just kind of... So just very slightly control those. Honestly, I'm not that big of a fan of like the finger noise, like the finger on the strings. I wish it was more like something like that. Yeah, something like that. I just wanted it to be a little more dark and like kind of muted. And then effects wise, I feel like it needs some width. Like it's too... I don't know, it's too bare bones. Let me try some stuff. I almost want to try a chorus. Matter of fact, I kind of just want to try to convert this to stereo. Not really convert it, but find a plugin that's gonna make it stereo. Let me try this chorus vibrato. There we go. All of a sudden it's here and not there. Because something to think about too is your lead vocal is going to be here, right? So I kind of want to spread this guitar out just a little bit so it can surround the vocal. It's a little too bouncy, let's see. See if I can sync it to the tempo. I like that. I mean, that's kind of cool. I like how it's, I don't know, it's like wobbly but in a good way, and it's very wide now. Almost want to bring it in just a hair. Make a little more room for the really wide stuff. Bypass one more time. Yeah, I'm a fan of that. Shit, I'll take it. Let me see if it'll benefit from a little smooth compression. Let's see. lock it in just a little bit. Let's get an A, B of everything. I like that. I'm gonna hold off on some like delays or reverb. I'm gonna hold off on that stuff till a little later on. I wanna see where the vocals are sitting and stuff like that. So, alright, so I have the main guitar part kind of dialed in for the most part, and then I have the structure pretty much there, like the structure of the song. So something I'll probably just do to make my life easier is put in memory markers for like the intro, verse, chorus, etc. That way, when I'm navigating the structure, it's gonna be way easier to work. All right, cool. Memory markers are in place, the structure's down, and the more I hear the guitar part, the more it grows on me. So since all that's in place, the main guitar part's there, the structure's there, I'm probably gonna leave it there for today, and I'm gonna come back tomorrow with some fresh ears. And tomorrow I actually kind of want to start laying down the vocals. I know in my last video, I kind of built the track up all the way and kind of saved the vocals to the end, but this song feels a little more intimate in the sense of, I feel like the guitar and the vocal are the bulk, like the core of the song. And I kind of want to get those things in place first and then try to build the track to complement those main elements. So yeah, tomorrow we'll come back with some fresh ears and try some vocals. Alright, it is a brand new day, got some fresh ears, so we're going to take a listen to the guitar part from yesterday, see how I feel about it, and see if I want to change anything. Yeah, I mean, sounds freaking good. Let's see, the chorus, I'm gonna go just a hair less on the mix of that. It's a little wobbly, but I actually kind of like it. I still want to see if I can make it wider, so I'm gonna add this. So this is a plugin I actually use all the time. It's meant for vocals, like if you're gonna make a vocal double out of one. So Avox Duo is what it's called. And yeah, let's see what that does. Yeah, it's pretty sick. Without, it just goes like that. But with it on, yeah. Yep. That's awesome. And I have it panned, not like hard left right. I still want to keep it pretty strong in the center, but it's a little out of the way for where a lead vocal would be. So that's perfect. All right, sweet. So kind of like I was saying yesterday, I actually want to take a stab at the vocals today. And I also mentioned this yesterday as well, but I feel like the core of the song is just this guitar and vocals. Everything I'm going to add after that, I kind of want to complement those two elements, but these are the root of the song. So that's kind of the reason I want to add the vocals this early in the production. And also I kind of want the vocals in there to tell me as I'm producing the track where the production should go. So all that to say, my voice feels pretty good today, so I'm going to add the lead vocal, and similar to the last song in my previous video, I'm going to double and triple the lead vocal. I don't know if it's just a phase or what, but I'm really loving that tripled thick vocal sound lately. So for the vocals, there's a few mics I have that I'll bounce between depending on the song that I really like the sound of. But I'm actually going to try a new mic that I just ordered. I'm going to see how it sounds on this song, and it's the WA251 from Warm Audio. I've heard a lot of cool things about it. So yeah, I'm going to try that mic, see how it sounds for this song and on my voice in general, and yeah, should be cool. So without further ado, let's track some vocals.
There are things in this life that don't make sense to me. Things that my eyes can hardly bear to see.
Alright, so I don't know about you guys, but that mic sounds freaking amazing. The high end and even the low end is so smooth. Gosh, But anyway, so we got the lead vocal. I'm gonna actually, I don't know why, but I like to color these like a light blue, and let's check it out.
Things that my eyes can hardly bear to see, and I just can't come to terms with the darkness.
All right, so sonically, very nice sounding. Very pleased with that mic. And just as a side note, I actually used that mic with the WA73 preamp from Warm Audio. And I also ran it through their WA76, which is an 1176 clone compressor. Just barely catching the peaks. So super, super light compression. Almost none. Just kind of getting some extra color in there. But yeah, other than the technical stuff, I really like the emotion that luckily I was able to capture in that performance. So I'm actually very pleased with this lead vocal. So again, this could be for whatever reason, but to me it just feels so lonely without the double and the triple. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a double and a triple and kind of thicken this lead vocal up real quick.
And I just can't come to terms with the darkness in the world that's surrounding me. Kind of evil that takes a life when two souls just don't agree.
Cool. So that one took a little bit of time, just making sure the timing between this double and the lead were kind of really in sync, but I think we got something. But I only recorded the double so far, and I want to try something. I'm going to use that same plugin that I used on the guitar. So Avox Duo is going to take this mono double and make it kind of like I did two doubles.
There are things in this life that don't make sense to me.
So on the surface it might appear that I'm being lazy by not recording the triple, but I just wanted one really solid double with like really good timing compared to the lead. And I didn't want it to get even more messy by adding another triple with its own timing issues. So I'm just going to take the really good double and I'm going to make it sound like even that double was double tracked. So that's what we have here. It's one take, but it's kind of being simulated to be two different takes of the same thing.
Hardly bear to see, and I just can't come to terms with the darkness.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it sounds pretty damn cool, but the only thing I'm thinking about is how things are gonna sit space-wise.
So how much longer can we go on like this, drifting further apart?
Yeah, so that, I mean, it feels different, not better or worse, but I ended up panning the guitar hard left right, and the vocals I brought in to be a little tighter like that.
This, drifting further apart.
I might even bring the guitar back in just a hair.
This, drifting further apart. 'Cause all I see is the absence of love and a flame that's growing dark.
Oh no, we'll roll with that for now. I mean, if anything ends up not really working, then you can always change that later on. All right, so while I'm on the vocals for now, I definitely hear some nice harmonies in the chorus. I'm gonna play the chorus, just the lead real quick.
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos and love unconditionally.
Yeah, so there's definitely room for some nice harmonies, some nice vocal stacks in there. It just comes down to a matter of what feels right. But I don't know, I kind of want to just try it to get it in there and see how it fits kind of with everything so far. So let's try some harmonies.
We were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos and love unconditionally.
All right, so we got some harmonies in here. That did take me quite a bit of time to find the right notes that fit with the melody, but I think what I got sounds pretty good for the most part. I can live with it for now. Yeah, so I pretty much double tracked those harmonies, and then I did add a secondary one with a weird chorus effect on it, so it kind of sounds wide altogether.
Meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free.
All right, right, so that's kind of what's going on there. Honestly, let's add a little, just for now, let's add a little reverb to those backgrounds. I'm gonna pull up my favorite reverb plugin, Valhalla Vintage Verb. Doesn't work all the time, but most of the time does the job. And then I don't really have a particular sound in mind, but let's see, vocal hole.
Meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free.
A little pre-delay in there.
We were meant to find peace in the chaos and love unconditionally.
Let's bring it down.
But now we're stuck in the room.
Works for now. Just some ambience, just to get a vibe. All right, so we got those. The only thing, I haven't decided if I want them on both choruses. This is just the last one. So, I don't know. I'm gonna say why not for now. Put those on the first chorus.
Dreamers, we were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos.
And I think it's gonna sound more full when I get some more instrumentation in here. But yeah, this is just very stripped guitar and vocals. So the other thing I kind of wanted to add that seems to be a common trend in my music lately is I kind of want to add an ambient pad to sit under everything. Now in terms of production, I'm really trying to approach this in a way where I'm not stacking parts that live in the same range frequency wise. So I'm going to try really hard not to cluster the arrangement and kind of try to spread things out. And that's going to help when I go to mix it, but also it's going to make it sound full without requiring so many different elements. So in that case, I'm going to import an ambient pad. Yeah, so I just have a giant collection of ambient pads that I usually like to pick from and see if they fit with a song. But I thought this one sounded pretty good, so let's see, let's check it out.
And we go on like this, drifting further apart.
So the reason I did pick this as well is it's sitting, like note-wise, it's very high up above most of the instrumentation already. So it's like sounds like a root in a fifth or something, really high up. I don't hate the high end of that, but I kind of want to just make it way darker. I don't really want it to cloud up
Two souls just don't
the high end.
agree.
Put auto gain on
So
here.
how much longer can we go on like this?
Yeah, so I'm just kind of dampen that high end and then thin it out a little bit. I really just want to limit this pad to a certain range. Try to keep it out of the way of everything else.
We all bleed the same. So let us find what it means to be.
Yeah, so it still has some brightness to it, just nothing
Two souls just don't agree.
that's gonna stick out too much. Also, again, something I love to do with pads is not just take them as they are, but I like to make them sound even more distant using a big reverb. So again, pull up my favorite reverb, and then I'm gonna go with the biggest reverb I know of on this plugin, this Montage. All right, let's see.
The world that's around.
So it feels like it takes it and just does this. It's crazy. And this has a 27-second decay, which is insane. So just cut out some of the low end. Yeah, I mean, it makes a world of a difference to me.
No, it shouldn't take a war to realize.
We can even make the pad even quieter.
The world that's surrounding me.
Yeah, just to make it an ambience that just kind of sits under the whole track. I want to try to create some movement in the pad. So the only way on the top of my head I can think of movement is I like to sometimes do an auto pan that just goes left, right. Doesn't have to be super drastic, but I don't know. It kind of creates a cool movement behind everything. All right, so I'm going to try to sync it with the track. Let's go quarter notes. maybe a little deeper. Let's hear it before the vocal comes in. Alright, so yeah, it kind of interacts with the rubber bridge guitar rhythm. I don't know if you can hear it, but it kind of has this kind of upward bounce to it. Yeah. There are things in this life. I don't know, it's kind of sick. I think I'm going to keep that for now. I feel like it could use a little extra magic on the intro. I just don't know what yet, but for now, I kind of really like how that's interacting. Nice and short, and then the vocals. There are things in this life that don't make sense to me. Yeah, so this track's gonna be a lot of trial and error just to kind of run some thoughts off the top of my head. Obviously, I'm thinking it needs some percussion, some sort of nice energy later on in the track. But I'm thinking definitely more cinematic and very, not your traditional like drum set. Possibly orchestral percussion. Damn, I don't know. That's the fun part and sometimes the not so fun part, because I'm gonna try a lot of things and probably most of them are not gonna work, but that's what you gotta get through to find the good stuff. So for right now, we have the main rubber bridge guitar, our vocals, and a pad to sit under it all. So now the key is to build up the track to support this. And I'm gonna do my best to not overproduce it, because that's the hardest part, is you think you gotta add all this stuff. I'm gonna try my best not to do that. And I'm just gonna see where this track takes me, you know? All right, so I'm gonna let this sit where it's at. I'm gonna brainstorm a little bit for the rest of the day, and then tomorrow, I'm gonna try a bunch of cool stuff. So we'll see what happens. So as usual, life got a little busy, so I took a few days off, but I'm ready to start really building around what I got so far and really developing this track. So let's dive in. All right, so far we have rubber bridge guitar, pads, lead vocals, and a couple background vocals in the chorus. So obviously it's very bare bones, but I want to start adding some elements that are going to really progress this song energy-wise and really strengthen the emotional message behind it. So something I had the thought of doing is there's kind of like 2 verses before that first chorus hits, and I want to do something different when the second verse comes in. Like I feel like it's fine to let this first verse just be very stripped down, but I want to keep it interesting as you listen through the song. So when we get to verse 2, I feel like something should kind of come in there, and my instincts just lead me to a very distant sounding piano, like chords, but very much in the background, some reverb on them, stuff like that. So I kind of want to try that. Not sure how well it's going to work, but I definitely want to get it in there and see if it can kind of progress the energy going into the chorus. So I'm actually going to go MIDI for this, and there's a perfect piano VST that I have from Spitfire, and it's called Felt Piano, and it's just a really soft, beautiful piano. So here's that plugin, Felt Piano by Spitfire, and I'll just kind of show you really quick kind of what it sounds like. Alright, obviously I'm playing with the crappy built-in keyboard, but I'm actually going to pull out my MIDI keyboard, mess around with a little bit, and kind of develop a part that fits. I think I want to bring it in at verse 2, but I definitely want piano to carry out through the rest of the song. So I'm going to try that, see if it works, see if it doesn't, and we'll take it from there. Can we go on like this, drifting further apart? 'Cause all I see is the absence of love and a flame that's growing dark. Alright, so we got a piano part here, and I decided to drop out the piano on the 3rd verse just so I can bring in different elements, and again, just keeping it fresh and exciting and interesting to the listener. But I'll end up bringing it back in the next chorus and then finishing out the song with that piano. So real quick, I'm going to commit this to audio, and then I'm going to comp a couple spots like in the chorus and such. Cool, so we got our piano part, and when it comes in,
So how much longer can we go on like this?
Let me turn it up just a little bit.
So how much longer can we go on like this? Drifting further apart.
Yeah, so we're just adding that extra
'Cause all I see
element.
is the absence of love.
Just kind of something different, something new that keeps the song moving. All right, cool. So I want to keep going further and developing the track and making sure that energy keeps climbing until we reach that second chorus I imagine being really, really big. So I kind of want to keep building up to that. So I think I can live with just that piano coming in on the second verse, but I kind of want to establish some sort of rhythm or groove once we hit the chorus to kind of make it pop, like an immediate change and kind of give it an uplifting feel. So the easiest way for me to approach that is I'm probably going to add some small percussion. Probably a shaker is my go-to. And instead of adding other percussion, I kind of want to integrate possibly some acoustic guitars that are strumming more rhythmically. I feel like those together are going to still be relatively light, but they're still going to make the song pick up rhythmically and kind of give that uplifting feel. So first I'll add that shaker since it's the easiest, and then I'll end up adding those acoustic parts. I'm probably going to get a left and a right, and there's an alternate tuning I want to try that I'll kind of go over when we get there. But real quick, the easy part, let me add the shaker, and then we'll see how it feels.
Meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos and love unconditionally.
All right, so we got that shaker part in the choruses. I actually did it for both. And then it's just adding that nice, lighter rhythmic aspect to the chorus. So a couple things, I ended up compressing it a little bit with the 1176. It was a little too dynamic once those backbeats kind of hit, so I just kind of wanted to lock it in a little bit. So it kind of brought up those softer notes and just overall gave it some beef, because this is a colorful compressor, so it sounds pretty nice. So something I always like to do is gain match. That way I can actually hear what the compressor is adding and not be thrown off by, oh, it's just louder, so it must be better. All right, so now I want to add those acoustic guitar parts to the chorus. But first, I kind of wanted to give a little insight on the tuning that I'm using and why I chose that tuning for this specific purpose. So I have my Taylor guitar, the 224 CE Koa. And it's really a beautiful guitar. It records really well in my opinion, and I've had it for maybe 6-7 years and I just love it. But I'm using a weird kind of folk tuning, and it's a variation on the original. But right now I have my guitar tuned to an E flat, then an A flat, another E flat. So almost like DAD, but up a half step, right? E flat, A flat, E flat. Then I have a G. All right, so this is designed to be in the key of A flat. So this is the 7, the G. Then I have the A flat. And then I have another E flat. All right, so we have just open, kind of like a sus2 with a 7, kind of really, really beautiful tuning. And with this tuning, you can do some really beautiful voicings with not a lot of fingers. And that's usually the kind of tunings I love to play in. So you can do stuff that sounds like this. Yeah, so really beautiful stuff. But in the case for this song, this tuning is tailored towards the key of A flat. And in my case, my song is in D major, so I'm gonna use a capo to get up to the key of D. So if I go up to the 6th fret and I play those same voicings that I did before, it sounds like this. So really beautiful, very open, and it just sounds awesome. Put this down. And another big reason that that tuning is going to work really well for this song is that I already have that rubber bridge guitar that's very low and dark in like the lows and low mids. And the biggest lesson I've learned in production from a lot of people and a lot of trial and error is that you want to produce in a way that nothing's going to sit on top of each other, because when you go to mix, it's just going to be a nightmare of carving frequencies out of this and just to make it all work together. When if you produce it in a way where everything has its own space to live in frequency-wise or range-wise, then it makes it a whole lot easier for things to just naturally mix together and not really fight each other. All right, so I'm off my tangent now. So with all those things considered, let's get some acoustic guitar parts.
Be dreamers, we were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos and love unconditionally.
All right, so here we got a left and a right. I changed the mic position a little bit on the second take just to make that double feel different in some way, because I am playing the same guitar part. All right, so I want to solo just the shaker and the guitars. Let's see. All right, I was messing around with some EQ, but let me take those off real quick. Alright, so you can hear some of that low end come back, but the main tone I wanted out of these guitars lives kind of in the higher frequencies. So all I did with the EQ was just roll off that low end, really up until, you know, the main fundamental of what I was doing. So if I take those off, you just kind of hear that chunkiness, I guess, from like strumming. But if I put it back on, all right, you just get that high end part of the tone. That's gonna pair well with this rubber bridge guitar, which alternatively has no high end pretty much. All right, sweet. So we got that. Damn, that piano sounds good. All right. So now, little rhythmic aspect to the choruses, feels good.
We were meant to find peace in the chaos and love unconditionally.
Yeah, probably gotta automate those backgrounds, but I don't know, I think it sounded pretty cool. All right, so both choruses have those elements that I just added. So I'm definitely going to work on making this second chorus really huge. I definitely have some ideas for that, but I kind of want to start on the third verse and try to make that have a really nice energy that's gonna build into an even bigger chorus at the end. So if we play it real quick, we got this.
And there are times in our lives
So
when there seems like no way out.
pretty much identical to the second verse. All right, that's not a problem, but I kind of want the song to keep doing this up until it hits that huge chorus. Now, something relatively easy I like to do, but it's very effective in creating energy, is I'll usually take an electric guitar and I'll play a very rhythmic, usually like a palm muted part that's just one note, usually the root note of the chord. And that usually adds like a nice driving feeling without making it too big or too dense with a bunch of percussion and all this stuff. So I got my Ibanez semi-hollow body electric here. Love this guitar. And I'm not really sure if I want like an amp sound or not. I'm just gonna go DI into my WA73 preamp since it has an instrument input, which is awesome. And I'm just gonna record the direct sound, possibly add an amp sim afterwards, but for now I do prefer to use the DI sound for this effect. All right, so we're gonna demo out some parts, try to keep it pretty simple, but I'm definitely gonna try to add that driving feeling with those palm muted parts. All right, let's see what happens.
And there are times in our lives when there seems like no way out. Like the world is gone cold and we all became slaves to fear and doubt. But we hold on to our faith.
All right, so we got some nice chuggy muted guitar parts driving that third verse. I decided instead of doubling exactly, I did one was the root. Let me center this. So this is just kind of the root of the chord progression. And then the other one, I don't think I had like a specific harmony in mind, but I just kind of did some climb down stuff that worked really well. Same note. So that kind of thing. And then if we pan those back out. and they're kind of meant to be relatively in the background, just kind of giving a nice pulse and a nice drive to that verse.
There are times in our lives when there seems like no way out.
Alright, and then I added some compression.
Like the world has gone cold and we all became slaves to fear and doubt.
So without them, you know, it's not really moving.
Hold on to our faith in believing,
right?
That we're gonna.
So it kind of gives, I keep saying it, but that driving feeling like it's picking up, you know?
There are times in our lives when there.
'Cause it's very dun 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 dun, whereas everything else is kind of, you know, moving slow. Sweet. So honestly, I have a lot of ideas for how this is gonna go. I'm kind of feeling something very orchestral percussion, strings, big orchestra sounding stuff. I'm not totally sure how I want to go about that quite yet, but a quick side note, I feel like my mind goes to that orchestral feel naturally sometimes, because if you didn't know, my background is actually in percussion. So I came up as a classically trained percussionist, also a drum set player, so concert band, jazz band, marching band, all that stuff really feeds into the way I produce. So I say that to say, I don't know if I want to try to live record some orchestral stuff. Obviously I don't own any like timpani or any big instruments like that, but I was thinking maybe like a concert snare that has a very cadence kind of feel. I don't know if I want to go the sample route with some really good samples from Spitfire again, as I have a pack from them called Cinematic Percussion. So all these things are kind of floating around in my head, so I'm going to leave the song where it is for now. I'm probably going to come back tomorrow morning and I'm going to spend some time roughly arranging parts, kind of how I want them to feel, and I'm going to brainstorm a lot of things so I can hopefully approach it in an efficient way. So I'm going to let the song sit for today, and tomorrow morning we're going to try a bunch of dope orchestral stuff. Alright, before there's any music making today, gotta chop this off. There we go, all cleaned up.
North American food.
What's up, dude?
Alright, finally back home. There's a lot I want to try to get done today, so let's just dive right in. Alright, I know yesterday I was talking about adding some orchestral stuff. I have some things in mind, and the other half is going to be all experimentation. So, something I want to try is maybe adding some orchestral percussion first. I actually recently, maybe in the past few months or so, bought orchestral percussion samples from Spitfire, and I think they sound freaking awesome. So, let's actually try that. And I got my MIDI keyboard down here, by the way. So I'm gonna load up a MIDI track to see how far I can get with MIDI stuff, and then if it's not really cutting it, I might try to actually live record some stuff. All right, let's check it out. Low hits. Oh, okay. So that was low, but if you go higher up. Damn, it's like concert toms almost. All right, let's see what we can do with that.
We hold on to our faith in believing that we're gonna make it through. 'Cause what choice do we have for ourselves? It's the only thing left to do. 'Cause we were meant to be dreamers.
All right, not too bad. It needs like a backbeat. Here, let me make a new instrument track. Let me add the same plugin. I'm gonna try those high hits. Let me see something.
And there are times in our lives when there seems like no way out. Like the world has gone cold and we all became slaves to fear and doubt.
I feel like it works well. My only hang up is the other one I added is a little too boomy and it's covering up the rest. So let's see. I want to hear how these are together.
And there are times
Not bad, not bad. Actually, let's try this. I want to keep it going throughout that last chorus and maybe see about how everything blends together.
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free.
Yeah, I left a little more space in between those hits just to maybe free up some space for other things. So let me keep going with the other hits and see if we can get a good blend of the two.
We were meant to find peace in the chaos and love unconditionally. No way out.
Get it a little more in the background.
Like the world has gone cold and we all became slaves to fear and doubt.
All right, I'm gonna try one more thing. I wanna go back to that swell preset. I wanna try to just get a nice low end swell leading into that chorus. Yeah, it's a cool little earthquake sounding swell. Let's see.
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers.
Yeah, subtle, but I think it's pretty cool. Gives a little extra push into that chorus. All right, so I'm gonna commit these into audio for now and see if we can keep it moving with the orchestral stuff. All right, so we got that.
And now we're stuck in the ruins.
All right, at least for the chorus, I think it's not like hitting as hard as I thought it would, but I kind of want to experiment with layering, and I want to see if I could layer like a simple real drum groove over this orchestral part. I want to try some good samples that I found a little while back. So I'm going to import a couple samples. All right, so I dropped in this kick sample. Let's see. It adds that extra punch that definitely was missing. Let me see about what kind of groove that might work. Let me see if I can do a goo-ga, goo-ga, something like that. Yeah. So I'm gonna duplicate this track. Let's make this a little more realistic sounding. I want the full ring out of each of these audio files, so I'm gonna make this second track take care of that. Just want to get that full decay of that kick. Alright, now a trick with making programmed drums sound a little more real is, think about if you were playing a kick drum with your foot. These quick two notes are not going to be the same volume, not going to be the same feel at all. So what I'll do is I'm going to lower kind of the gain, of this audio clip, but it's going to give it that dun, kind of a natural crescendo. So just a little bit, Alright, so even just that volume change makes it feel a little more real. Alright, next I want to find a snare sample that is also going to beef up that backbeat a little bit. So let's see, I'm going to drop one in here. Alright. Definitely liking the sounds. I need to just complete the full groove throughout the chorus, so I'll do some quick editing.
To be dreamers, we were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos and love.
So sounding pretty good. I want to add a big cinematic reverb to that snare. There's a particular one I'm thinking of, and it's called Seventh Heaven, based on the Percussion hardware reverb that I've used in a couple studios. Sounds freaking awesome. And then I'm thinking, let's see, possibly a plate. Let's try the fat plate. Oh, I need bigger.
We were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos, love unconditionally. And now we're stuck in the room.
Alright, that tone's nice. Let me make it last a little longer. All right, can live with that for now. The tone is almost there, but this is somewhat of kind of just for reference. And I think the shaker's doing a good job of keeping that time.
Immerse, we were meant to be free.
Let's see if we added like a hi-hat. So I kind of time adjusted a loop to fit the tempo. So let's see.
Be dreamers.
Sounds terribly fake, to be honest. But if we make that kind of double up with the shaker, so if I just sprinkle it in.
Be dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace.
So it definitely adds something, but buried that deep in the mix actually sounds good. So, all right. I mean, I'm gonna have to work out some transitional things with that, but other than that, I mean, it's a pretty nice groove for that big section. All right, speaking of orchestral, it definitely needs some strings and possibly some brass. It'd be cool to get some kind of actual full orchestra sound in here. All right, so I just bought a new string VST. I forgot what the name is because I just bought it yesterday. All right, here it is, called Crow Hill by Sound Theory. Let's see. So very beautiful sounding strings. All right, and we're gonna try to play around with some stuff, see if we can get a nice full orchestral sound for that last chorus. All right, so let's experiment with some string layers.
Be dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to find.
All right, I love the sound in general. I'm gonna experiment with a couple more layers, maybe 3, possibly 4, and I really wanna fill this up. So let's try a couple things.
Dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to find.
All right, so one more thing I want to try to add to that is maybe some brass parts. I really want the sharpness of like a trumpet or brass sound. So this is Labs from Spitfire, and I'm gonna try my luck with this Epic Brass and Woodwinds pack. Yeah, that's sick. First, let me grab a drink. All right, got a little pomegranate juice with oranges. All right, so let's see what we can do with the brass part.
Be dreamers. We were meant to be
All right, so with 3 different string parts and a brass part to top it off, all those things together, let's see what we got.
free. 'Cause we were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos, love unconditionally.
So that whole second chorus, it's a lot of elements, but I think it needed that huge orchestral sound. So I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so the only thing is there's not a lot of low end happening in that section. So I know there's low end coming from the rubber bridge guitar. Let me see where that is. All right, so let me actually see where that's sitting. Yeah. All right, so it's definitely getting into that bass range, but I want to add an actual bass. Now, I'm not sure if it should be electric or some sort of other bass, like a string bass or something. I don't know. I'm gonna go with an electric bass just to fill out that subby low end. I'm not looking for like a super organic electric bass sound where you hear all the detail. I just want to fill in that bottom end a little bit. So I'm gonna try to add a simple little bass part and then we'll see how it fills out.
Be dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos.
All right, I'm not really vibing with that. Let me try like an orchestral bass. All right, in context. right, let me see if it's gonna really work.
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace.
All right, let's blend this back in.
We were meant to be dreamers.
I mean, it definitely adds a fullness, that's for sure. Without it. See if we can give it a little more beef. Let's get the old Pultec on there.
We were meant to be.
So going for that low end. I'm gonna broaden this up. Dip out some of those mids. Alright, not too worried about the highs. Alright, that gives it a little bit more fullness. Let me commit that to audio.
Now we're stuck in the
I mean, it needs some tweaking, but I think the feel and the idea is there. It's sounding really, really full right now. I think I'm approaching the end. Probably a little more sparse elements, a couple things I have in mind that I want to try. But for now, I'm gonna leave it where it is, and I'm gonna come back maybe tomorrow, try to work on a couple more things, and then hopefully I should be finishing this track within the next 1 or 2 days. I hope, we'll see. But we'll tackle it tomorrow and then see where it goes. All right, we're back at it. I really want to try to make some big strides today and hopefully get as close to finished as possible today. If not today, tomorrow. And yeah, so I'm just gonna dive right in. All right, so today I want to work a little bit backwards because I got a really full second chorus, right? So a lot going on. I kind of want to go backwards in the track, and I kind of want to try to build up the verse and the first chorus, stuff like that, to really build into that big ending. So let's go back to the first chorus, because honestly I think the verse with just the guitar and the piano is fine for now. But the chorus, I kind of want to add maybe one more element, something more ambient in the background, because we already have the piano, acoustic guitar, shaker, and vocals, and guitar pretty much. So those are really taking care of most of it, but I think I want to add something a little bit extra in the background to give it more ambience. So I'm actually going to try some stuff with my electric guitar and maybe get some really washed out, kind of like worship guitar tones. If you ever listen to worship music, they have those really reverby, washed out tones sometimes. I kind of want to see if I can get something like that for the first chorus, just to give it a little something extra, you know? So I'm gonna grab my Epiphone Les Paul Studio that my brother actually gave me. This guitar is freaking awesome. And I'm probably gonna try some stuff in the box, see if I can do some cool big reverbs and stuff like that. So I actually been playing around this new guitar amp sim that UA put out. It's called Showtime 64. And at the time of this recording, they just recently put it out for free. So I actually been playing around with it. And I found this jazz club vibes with a lot of tremolo that I kind of like. There's no sync with the tremolo, but I tried my best to get it to roughly the tempo of the song. And I was kind of thinking of that counter melody during the chorus. So for example, if I played it with the chorus, it'd be like this.
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos.
So way in the background, this is dry right now. But so that's the concept I'm floating around with. So let me just lay it down and then let's see what happens.
Dreamers, we were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos.
Alright, so we got that, and then I kind of want to double it so I can have a left right and make it super wide. So I'm going to record a double real quick. Alright, so we got a left and a right of those chorus guitars, 2 different takes. Let's check it out. So I'll pan these out. So they're still pretty dry, drier than I'd like. So let's do this. I'm gonna send them to a routing folder, pretty much like a subgroup in a way. Let's make these green as well. All right, let's do a couple things. Dang, I wonder if I could do some modulation, something with the pitch to make it a little, not out of tune, but a little wavy. I don't know if that's the right word. Let's see what I got. I just got this one plugin recently called Deco. Yeah, it's by Strymon, actually. I was in a studio session one time and the guitar player came in with his pedal board and I just remember it sounding like super lo-fi, super wobbly, tape saturation, tape echo. It's crazy. So I walked in the live room to check it out. I was like looking at his setup and I asked him and it was the Strymon Deco pedal. So I looked it up, I was like, damn, I need to get one for myself. They're kind of pricey. Not really, but like 400 maybe. And then I found out they had a plugin. And I was like, well, that way I can use it on more than just guitar. So anyways, long story short, I got this Deco plugin and honestly, I think it'd be perfect for what I'm going for. So let's see. Weird. See, it's crazy, dude. Lag time. Alright, so where it's sitting now is pretty good. It's not too crazy. It's a little pitchy in a good way. Has that like weird wobble to it. And then the old Justin Mola special, wash it out with reverb. And I swear, most of the time, this default setting that comes up with Valhalla Vintage Verb, it just sounds freaking good on a lot of things. So let's see. Have a little bit dry peek through. Alright, now I'll probably cut out some low end just because I don't want to muddy everything up. So honestly, if I had my pedal board with me, I have a volume pedal. I use it when I play at church, but usually I'll do swells. Like I'll pluck the string with the volume pedal all the way down, and then I'll slowly swell into that note with some reverb. So I don't have that with me right now. It would have been nice, but I kind of want to try to emulate that in a way. So I want to kind of make these swells rather than plucks, if that makes sense. So there's a couple ways I can go about that. I could fade in. Let's see. It's really just taking away the attack, but it just sounds normal after that. Let me try to reverse them. So I can't reverse this whole thing or else the notes are gonna be way out of order. So let me do this. I'm gonna tab to transient every note. Here, I'll just do the first few just in case it doesn't work. Let me see. All right, let's try with just the first 3 notes. I'm gonna reverse these guys. Individual, clip by clip. All right, let's see. Okay, I like where that's going. All right, I want to try that for all of them. Let's get the rest of these notes. All right, and then let me reverse all of them. All right, let's check it out. Dude, that's freaking sick. Yeah, I love that. It's almost like strings, but not. It's freaking crazy. I love the like the ends of the notes. Once they were reversed, it got switched to the beginning. So specifically like right here. Like, dude, those are freaking awesome. Those little, I don't even know what to call them. Artifacts, but a good artifacts. Yeah, let's see how far we can take this. Let's do this. Something I really like to do all the time is auto pan. So we're getting the tremolo, we reversed it, now we're getting this kind of back and forth thing, which might be cool. Let's see. Yeah, let's see if we can time it. Let's see, sync. That's eighth notes. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Okay, let me go slower actually. Let me go, guess what? I'm in 3/4. If I did half note, let's try a triplet. Yeah, I like that. Let's see.
Love unconditionally. And now we're stuck in the ruins.
Yeah, dude, it's freaking sick. I love it. So one more thing I kind of want to try to make it even crazier than it is right now. Let's make it more modulated, like chorusy. Yeah, it's just a little extra cool, pitchy, wavering kind of thing. So let's see. Without it.
Meant to be dreamers. We were meant to
and with it.
We were meant to find peace in the chaos.
Just adds that extra, kind of like I was saying earlier, like a counter melody to the chorus vocal melody. So I freaking love it. We will keep that. Now verse 3 has some stuff going on already, but kind of want to see if we can drive the emotion further and further into that big chorus. I kind of maybe want to introduce some strings at this point, not full on to the same degree of the chorus, but I kind of want to mess around with maybe like a solo cello part or something like that. I'm thinking cello because whenever there's a solo cello with something, like with a song, it just, I don't know. It's just living in my head as something that works really well. So let's see if we can find a nice sound. So of course we're gonna go with the Spitfire stuff. Ooh, mournful. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, I am down with that. Let's see what we can do with that.
Times in our lives when there seems like no way out. Like the world has gone cold and we all became slaves to fear and doubt. But we
Sweet. I like that. I was kind of thinking halfway through that, if that one part expanded into maybe another harmony part. Maybe two more. I don't know. Let's duplicate that. And then let's see if I can come up with a harmony part.
hold on to our faith in believing that we're gonna make it through. 'Cause what choice do we
Yes, sir. I'm just going to leave them there. Mix them in a little bit. Turn them into audio. Now they're a little dry for now, like they don't blend in with the atmosphere of the track yet, but that will come further down the road. But I like the tone a lot, and the parts that I worked out I really like actually. All right, I dropped those in with the rest of the orchestra tracks, and I actually ended up adding some reverb. Again, the default setting just sounds freaking awesome, and yeah, I just kind of left it there. So it's definitely getting there. Feel like it needs something. It needs more of a, just like a push and more of a drive into that last chorus. I don't know yet, but I know what my instinct's telling me, and I think I mentioned it before. I want to record some actual live recorded orchestral stuff. I definitely want to record a concert snare. I'm dying to record a concert snare for this actually, and possibly something else with that. I'm not sure, but I think I'm gonna go for it. I think I'm gonna record a concert snare. I'm gonna set it up in my living room because my living room has high ceilings and it's pretty open, pretty big. So I'm gonna use that to my advantage to get that big room sound that you usually associate with an orchestra. Like if you've ever been to like a orchestral concert, band concert, stuff like that, the way you hear that percussion is pretty much the reflections of the hall that they're performing in. So that's what I'm trying to emulate without being in an auditorium. I have my living room, but I think either with room mics out there or reverb in here, I can get away with that and probably get that sound. So yeah, my mind's made up. So I'm gonna set up my snare and try some cool miking techniques. I'm gonna mic the room and I'll mic it close, and I'm just gonna see what sounds I can get. You never know. Could be horrible and it could be just what the track needs. So I'm gonna actually go for that. that was a logistical adventure, but very, very worth it. I think it came out freaking awesome. Let's check out some of this. So I was messing around with just the room mics and everything by themselves, and then adding a little more reverb. So I'm gonna take all that off, and let's just see what we got by itself. Let me solo a couple things. This is the snare top mic. All right, snare bottom. Standard. I did that overhead mic. Keep in mind this is just raw, so it's picking up a lot of the living room sound. I wasn't joking when I was saying that living room is sounds pretty cool. And then these are the far room mics. Crazy. This is my living room, legit. Look, all there is I was checking the polarity and stuff. There's no reverb. This is all the living room. It's wild. So all together. All right, and then I was messing around with some EQ. So this just to take out additional low end I didn't need, and I did a slope off of the high end a little bit to give it even more of that distant sound. All right. So just taking away some high end already puts it back in the mix. All right, and then I added a little bit of reverb. So a big reverb, but as far as if it needs that much reverb, I don't know. But for now,
There are times in our life
let me turn it back down.
seems like no way out. Like the world is gone cold and we are
Yes.
slaves to
Dude, that adds an insane dynamic to the track. Just freaking crazy. I love percussion. So without it,
There seems like no
it's fine,
way out.
but
Like the world
that
is
march cadence, gosh. And then in combination with the cinematic percussion in the back, yes sir. I'm gonna try something even more crazy. I would like to swap out my snare drum. So same mic, same everything, but replace it with my floor tom. I wish I had a concert tom, but a tom is a tom, whatever. I'm gonna see if I can kind of double this, not double it exactly, but kind of make a part that's complementary to this snare part. And I'm gonna try to go for that big concert tom feel, like to give it that extra body, you know? So I'm gonna swap out my snare for the floor tom and see if I can get some cool results.
But we hold on to our faith and believe that we're gonna make it through. 'Cause what choice do we have for ourselves? It's the only thing left to do. 'Cause we were meant to
All right, crazy, but fun. All right, so let's check some of this out. Top and bottom, heads. I don't really usually mic a tom with a bottom mic, but I don't know. I was using the same setup as the snare, so I was like, whatever. This is the overhead. Yeah, and I was playing with timpani mallets, so kind of soft at first, but here's where I get loud. Roll. All right, close mics. With the room mics. Yeah. And then I was experimenting a little bit with some stuff. So compression, just a little bit. And then there was a weird resonance I didn't really like that I kind of took out. And then I was like, let me beef up the low end, a little Pultec EQ, something like that. And then I took the same reverb as the snare, put it on the tom. Let me blend that back in.
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos.
Those two elements right there totally transformed the track. Insane. So super happy with that. When I did the snare and the tom, that took quite a bit of time, more time than I thought, which is not a bad thing. But I'm about tapped out for today. I'm gonna just do a few more things tomorrow, add some additional little percussion, like some rolls, like cymbal rolls and stuff leading into the chorus, and a couple more things, and I think this track's done. So if you stuck around this far, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy the process and seeing me take one idea and bringing it to where it is now. That's the biggest thing, like, not to get off a tangent, but with AI, Suno, and all this crazy stuff out there, it robs you of the experience of taking an idea, working really hard and developing it and seeing the payoff. I think that's something that AI is trying to take away if you let it. But anyways, tangent over. I am gonna leave it here for today. I'm gonna come back tomorrow and I will finish this. I will. All right, so we'll come back tomorrow and we'll knock it out. All right, I feel so focused right now. I'm gonna try to ride this wave of energy. I must have slept good, I don't know. I'm trying to finish this track today. There's only a few more things that I want to add to the track that I feel like are gonna fill it out really well. So let's get going. All right, so yesterday we kind of left off building up the third verse to really lead into that second chorus. I feel like it's done. The only thing that I really feel like I want to try is a harmony, but I just don't know where and what harmony, and I don't even know if it's necessary. So even though I have it in my brain right now, I kind of want to move on to other stuff first and then possibly come back to that. So I was thinking more towards the end, like leave the beginning of the verse alone and then maybe bring it on the last two lines or even just the last line and kind of lead into that second chorus. Like right there. So I feel like the verse melody is just too low to really give a lot of energy to lead into that next part. I think it's worth adding them, or at least trying. Only thing left to do. I don't know, something like that. Yeah, I feel like I want to do a harmony on the last half of that part, and I might make it climb up note-wise and really lead into that chorus. You know what? I'm gonna try it now. Why not? So I got my Telefunken TF51-2 mic. On my voice, I think it sounds freaking awesome. It's the TF51, their modern creation of the 251, kind of. But it sounds freaking awesome. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to run through 1073. I already know I'm going to want to double it. All right, so we got the mic ready to go. I'm just going to lay down some quick harmonies and see how they go.
It's the only thing left to do. 'Cause we were meant to be.
Alright, so I ended up with 2 harmony parts. I doubled the first one, and I don't know, I guess I got lazy and just did one of the second one, but I added this duo plugin to make it sound doubled. So with those together, we have this.
It's the only thing left to do. Meant to be.
Alright, so let's see with the lead.
It's the only thing left to do. 'Cause we were meant to be.
So my vision was during that climb up, dum, bum, dum, with some crazy effects. Yeah, it's gonna sound freaking crazy. Let's see.
It's the only thing left to do. 'Cause we were meant to.
And I'll probably automate them up, which let me do a little bit now. And then the old vintage verb. And these, I might not commit to these reverbs. I'm putting them on the track directly just for a quick sound. But when I go to mix this thing, I'll have it more organized with aux sends and all that. It's just getting the idea in place, you know? All right, so now that those are in place, I've opened up a can of worms because I feel like the regular chorus melody is just not enough for that second chorus. It needs like a higher vocal part. So I'm gonna try to just, I don't know, either an ad-lib part or a new melody part that's way higher in my range. But I definitely want something belty, like not screaming, but like belting really powerfully, because these words have a lot of weight, you know? So I kind of want to try something where I'm kind of belting. All right, so I'm gonna hop back on the mic and I'm gonna see what I can do.
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to
That one left me out of breath. All right. Now this is the ad-lib, I'm calling it, but like high melody for the second chorus with those harmonies leading in.
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos of unconditional.
Yeah, so that now brings the energy that I had in mind. So like just again, those lower regular chorus vocals just didn't really do that second chorus justice. So with these new vocals, I'm definitely feeling happy with that. And I think once I get some cool effects going with these harmonies,
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers.
I think it's gonna turn out pretty sick. Now the only thing in that transition is it's missing some big cymbal stuff, like shh, to really lead in that big impact. Yeah, because right now we just have like the rolls from the tom and stuff like that. We need some cymbal action. So the first thing, I know I already have a cymbal roll in here.
'Cause we were meant
It's extremely low. I'm gonna bring that up.
'Cause we were meant to be.
So that one's fine. I think I want to layer it with maybe a brighter, more, not aggressive, but more intense roll. I want to layer that with a couple things. So let me see if I can import a different cymbal roll. All right, so I imported another cymbal roll that's a little brighter. All right, so it's brighter and shorter actually, but them together.
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers.
Yes, super washy, but also has that nice brightness to it. And then I actually took the darker sounding cymbal roll and I ended up putting at the end of, I think, every 4-bar phrase, just to give it an extra push, you know, keep it moving. So
And now we're stuck in the
kind of subtle. I'd even gain these down just a little bit. Yeah, just in the background, kind of ushering in the new phrase. So when I used to play in like concert band, orchestral percussion, one of my favorite things to do was a gong roll, because a cymbal roll is pretty standard, but a gong roll is for massive impact. So I actually want to try to drag in a gong roll and layer that and see if that works. All right, so I got this gong roll loaded in. Let's solo it real quick. Nothing crazy, but when you add that in with everything else,
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers. We were meant.
that is an orchestral roll right there. Like those three things together with the concert tom, with the two cymbals, the gong, and everything else, that buildup right there is why I'm incredibly fortunate that I came up playing orchestral percussion. Because yes, that sounds so good. One more time.
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers.
Dude, it's freaking awesome. And it's not even mixed. Not even mixed yet. I mean, roughly, but all right. I think overall, it's kind of where I want it. I don't think it can get that much fuller than this. And honestly, I love it. I love where it is right now. All right, so the very last thing that I actually wanted for the track was a choir. In my head, I imagined like a big choir singing that last chorus, and it would just give it that really strong, I don't know the right word to it, but when you hear a choir singing something, it just has a vibe to it that's just like, wow. Like it's naturally powerful. There's got to be something about all those people singing together in unison. It hits you here. Like, I don't know why or how it works, but when you hear a choir, it sells it. So I really want that for this track. However, getting a choir to record, it's kind of tricky. So there's actually a way I've developed to work around this. If you're producing music by yourself at home and you want a realistic choir sound, how do you do it? So I'm sure a lot of us might have seen the goofy videos where someone's recording just one person, but they'll record a take and then they'll record a take with their nose plugged and like a weird, yeah, we're not gonna do that. All right, it's a little cringy. And again, I want a bunch of unique, great sounding voices. To me, if you're gonna do this, like if someone who sounded like that was auditioning for a choir that I was running, I'd be like, I'm good. But that sounded mean, I don't know. But yeah, I'm looking for, let's just say 8 unique voices that sound really good that are not my own, because that's what's really gonna give that realistic effect of, oh, there's him singing the lead, but there's a whole choir behind him singing the chorus. So there's actually a cool little trick that I developed a little while back. I was producing a song for someone and they wanted it to sound like a bunch of people in a bar were singing the song, like a group sing-along type of thing. So I was like, I mean, I could record my voice a bunch of times, but it's just not gonna give the same effect. So then I stumbled across this app called Vocal AI, and I know what you're thinking, oh God, AI, but listen. It's not as bad as it sounds, all right? So I found this thing by Sonarworks. They're the same company that makes the software where you can EQ your speakers to the room, stuff like that. They make a plugin called Sound ID Vocal AI. Pretty much, you can capture a performance that you sang, and you can model that into a bunch of different sampled voices. I'll actually even pull it up. It's crazy. They have, you know, kids, old ladies, male, female, all you can think of. They have a bunch of singers on there. Do they all sound great? Absolutely not. Do some of them sound really good? Yes. Now, this is an example of using AI as a tool and not a crutch. So I'm using these as a background layer, right? It's going to be 8 of them singing way in the background as a background vocal. Would I ever replace a lead vocal with this? Not in a million years, for a lot of reasons. But if I'm looking for a harmony or a choir sound or a group of singers that I don't have access to in real life, this tool is insane for that. Insane. All right, so with that being said, first, I just want to show you how it works. Let me just duplicate the lead vocal, or one of them at least, right? So we got the lead vocal.
What choice do we have for us?
And then let's go to the last chorus.
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers.
All right, this is the whole chorus right here, the last chorus. All right, we're gonna add the Vocal AI plugin. All right, so it looks like this. So pretty much the first thing you do is you'd capture your recording or your performance. So I'll do that.
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers.
All right, so we captured the vocal, and then you can go through these different singers and you can get a sample of what they sound like. So let's see, Rebecca, for example, we could preview.
But I keep rising, shaking off the rain.
Okay.
But I keep rising, shaking off the rain.
I reach out, but you're not there. I reach.
All right, so this is an example of no. It sounds like Kermit the Frog. Like, who sings like that? I'm sorry. But, like, it just sounds odd. Like, what is this? But, like, the other 2 girls, yeah, they're passable.
I'm not afraid to fall.
Nothing can hold me. I reach out, but you're not.
See, like that one, yeah, it's not bad, right? Just a nice male vocal. So you get the point. You can go through and pick which one you like. If you're doing just one harmony, you got plenty of choices. In my case, I want a lot of people, at least 8. I want to try to do 4 melody voices and 4 harmony voices, just to keep it simple. So I'm not a arranger for choir. I don't know all these crazy vocal stacks, nor does this song need it. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna record 8 different takes, 4 of them being the melody and 4 of them being the harmony. For the melody, I'm gonna get male vocalists, and for the harmonies, I'll get female vocalists. And that leaves me with 4 different male singers and 4 different female singers. So I should be able to find some good ones, and then we're gonna see how it sounds all together. So real quick, I'm gonna record those 8 takes, and then we'll play around with choosing some vocals.
'Cause we were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free.
Alright, so we got our 8 takes here, and then off camera I went through all the voices and tried to pick ones that really did sound good. I would have done it on camera, but it just took a while going through all those. I figured let me just pick the ones I like and then I'll show you guys what I went with. Alright, so one thing I decided to do was just keep one of my own vocals, because I just wanted at least one of me to be in there to mix it up, right? Now, I will preface this with, I had to make it sound different than my actual lead vocals, and I went a little overboard with the typical old man choir singing. So it's a little cringe, I warned you, but I'll play it.
We were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free.
I know, if you're cringing, think about how I feel. But in the mix of everything, it's gonna work, I promise. Now that that's over with, I wanna slam my head into a wall. The next male vocal I went with was Mr. Henry over here. So, that's what it sounds like.
We were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free.
Right? Not too bad, not too far from my voice in a way. I will mention I sang pretty much all of them, most of them in that kind of, oh, right? But again, in the mix of everything, it's gonna be good. All right, so the next male vocal, I went with Simon.
We were meant to be dreamers.
This one has a little more grit to it, right?
We were meant to be free.
All right, pretty good. And then the last male vocal is Daniel.
We were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free.
Let's play all 4 together and see what happens.
We were meant to be dreamers.
Told you.
We were meant to be free.
So we have 4 different unique voices coming together to make one nice choral layer, if that's a word. All right, so let's check out the females. What's going on over here? Jasmine, let's check it out.
We were meant to be dreamers.
Harmony part, by the way.
We were meant to be free.
So pretty solid, you know, nice female vocal. The next one we got Charlotte.
We were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free.
Kind of an accent on that one, but it's nice and airy. It's different. Again, she has a bit of an accent, it seems like, so it's a good mixture. Next we have,
We were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free.
again, kind of an accent, but it's pretty sick. And then lastly, Fiona from Shrek. No.
We were meant to be dreamers.
Younger voice,
We were meant to be free.
nasally, kind of very forward. So first, all the female vocals together.
We were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free.
Again, it's crazy. Like using AI as a tool for this kind of thing, you know? Now, let's put all of them together. The males and the females. Here we go.
We were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free.
All right, so I can mess around with the balance, right? But overall, it sounds like 8 people singing together. It's freaking insane. 8 different people with unique voices. Now, let's check it out overall in the mix. Let's see how this is working.
We were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free.
Without him,
We were meant to find peace in the chaos. Love unconditionally. But now we're stuck in the
like, dude, insane. It sounds so much fuller with the choir. Now, my only hang up with them is if we're going for realistic, we have to go all the way. So how do you hear a choir in real life? Not really in this close proximity with a nice direct sound. You usually hear them in a big room, and you're usually hearing a lot of reflections instead of their direct voices. So how can we simulate that? We could add a reverb plugin. That's an option. However, if you remember from the concert snare and the concert tom that I recorded in my living room, that room sounds freaking good. So here's the idea that I'm gonna try. I'm gonna route pretty much this mixture of the choir vocals, so all 8, how they are right now. I'm gonna route them to my 2 PA speakers. They're small QSC speakers. That way I can have a left and a right and get a nice stereo image. And I'm gonna mic the room kind of far away from the speakers to try to get a lot of ambience. So I'm almost going for just the reflections of the room and obviously less of the direct sound from the speakers in this case. So I'm going to try to blend those reflections from the room with these direct vocal tracks, and I'm going to see if I can get like a realistic choir sound. So I'm going to set all that up. I'm going to show you guys kind of how I'm going to set that up and what mics and what techniques I'm going to use, and then we're going to see if it actually works. And I hope so, because it's a lot of work to set up. All right, let's see what happens. Alright, so as you could see from the setup, I had an ORTF in the middle, and then I had 2 omnidirectional room mics kind of spaced way further out. They weren't the same mics. I don't have any like matching omnidirectional microphones, but you know, they do the job. So let's check out what just that sounds like. Now keep in mind, this is my freaking living room. There's no reverb on this whatsoever. Let's see just the ORTF real quick.
We were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free.
All right, and then the space pair.
We were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to
Both.
be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos.
Now I'm gonna switch to the dry.
Unconditionally.
All right, the massive difference.
But now we're stuck in the.
All right, so let's put it all together and see what our choir sounds like.
We were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos and love unconditionally.
Lower the dry vocals.
But now we're stuck in the ruins.
Let's take them away.
Questioning everything.
So, huge difference.
But we still pray for the broken to find strength to love their enemy.
Dude, sounds huge. Just that ambience transformed the whole sound. It's freaking insane. So there's a couple things I was trying on the dry vocals. I thinned everything out a little bit. I don't want it to conflict with the rest of the mix. Just cutting out a little bit of the low end and some extra high end de-esser.
We were meant to find peace in the chaos.
All right, I'm trying to tame the compress them with 1176, which honestly I don't like anymore. So we're gonna take that off. And then I was messing around with this imager to make them sound even wider.
We were meant to be dreamers.
So just subtle. So that's our choir sound. 8 different takes that I did, and then sampled each of them into an AI voice. And then to make it even more realistic, we sent them through speakers, recorded the sound in the room, and that's what we got. So I'm not sure if anyone else has done that in this way, but I definitely know that this is kind of a newfound method I found a while back that I can't get over. As far as wanting some variation in your backgrounds, whether it's just a harmony, a choir, or whatever, this is a solid way to use AI to your advantage in that sense. Now, does it beat a real well-trained choir? Not in a million years, but do we all have access to a really good, well-trained choir? Not a lot. So this is a very, very solid workaround for that. And guess what? That's it. I am done. I don't think I could bring it further than this, to be honest. I think it feels complete, so I think I'm gonna call it. Actually, I'll do this. I'll come back tomorrow morning. I'm gonna listen with fresh ears, and I'm gonna make sure I'm super happy with it, which I already know I'm gonna be, but you never know. I'm gonna take one more listen to the production, see if there's anything else that should be in there that's going to help the song. But after that, we'll get this thing mixed and we'll take one final listen together. So tomorrow morning, we'll take a listen and we'll take it from there. All right, so by tomorrow morning, I guess I meant 2 weeks later, because I ended up coming down with a cold and that put me out for like 2 weeks. And I don't know about you guys, but after COVID and everything, there's no like quick head colds anymore. Like they always linger for like weeks. So I'm finally at a point where I can talk without coughing. So here we are back to the video, and it's worth mentioning that things might look a little bit different in the setup around me. So I couldn't sing, couldn't really film, couldn't do a lot of stuff when I was sick. So for some reason, I thought it was a good idea to build a brand new studio desk. This is a desk I've been wanting to build for probably like a year and a half now, just haven't committed to it. But I was like, I can't really do anything else. I'm sick, should be resting, but who wants to do that? So yeah, I was like, let me take this time to build my studio desk that I've been wanting to build for a while. And obviously you can't see it from this angle, but I'm gonna throw up some videos that I took. It kind of worked out because it did take me a week and a half-ish to get all this built, everything put in, set up, wired up, and all that stuff. So honestly, I know it's not part of the production aspect of this video, but I'm pretty proud with it and I wanted to share with you guys the new build, because I know a lot of you out there are like me and you always want to keep improving the setup and keep improving your creative space. But yeah, other than that, obviously I've been listening to the production while I was sick, and I have not felt the need to change or add anything. I'm still happy with it and I think it's ready for mixing. So what I'm going to do is take the next 1 to 2 days to mix this thing, dial it in, and then we're going to take a listen through together like we did before. All right, so I'm going to do my thing and then we'll come back and we'll listen together. Alright, so after a grueling, kind of lengthy process, the mix is finished. That was definitely one of the hardest mixes I've done for sure, like of my own songs. Mainly because the amount of elements. Like in that second chorus, there's an entire choir, background vocals, lead vocals, bunch of strings, guitars, everything. So making everything have its own space and kind of come together and not fight each other, that was the biggest challenge of this mix. But all those things considered, I think it sounds freaking awesome. Super happy with it. I finished the last few tweaks this morning and then I mastered it in the afternoon, and yeah, it's done. So before we have a listen together, I wanted to touch on a few things that happened during the mixing process. So once in a blue moon, I'll be starting to mix one of my songs. I'll try to get a rough balance of everything and see how everything works together. And sometimes, no matter what I try to do, it just doesn't sound cohesive. Like it's not full enough, no matter what EQ moves I do, balancing or whatever. So those, for me, are the learning moments of where I might have come up short in the production process. The reason I bring this up is that's what happened during this mixing process. So specifically, I started mixing, and when I got to the first chorus, no matter what I did, it just kind of wasn't hitting right. It didn't feel right. In other words, it just felt kind of anemic, like it didn't have enough power to really get that message across in the chorus. So I did a few things to kind of remedy that. One being, I took some of the individual string parts from the second chorus, not like the massive ensemble strings, but the individual bass, cello, viola, violin parts. I moved those to the first chorus to get a little bit more body with some strings. And then the biggest part throughout the whole song is, even with the bass guitar coming in later, it just did not sound full enough for some reason. I even had the string bass in there. Now, of course, there's some possibly EQ stuff I could have done or whatever, but I actually had more success by adding a sub bass starting at the first chorus and then throughout the song. And it's literally just sub. Like there's no mids or highs really. It's just super beefy low end. And then I have the bass guitar and the string bass kind of filling out the rest of the low end. So I think those are the only things I really altered from the original production. Everything else kind of stayed the same. And then I just did my best to make all the elements come together. And most importantly, showcase the emotion behind the meaning of the song. And of course, I could solo out those things and show you right now, but I'd much rather you hear those changes in the context of the final mix when we take a listen, so it'll be way more worth it anyway. Alright, so with all that being said, we're going to take a final listen to the mix, but if you watched my last video, you kind of know what's up. Something I like to do is when I'm happy with the mix, the master, everything, I like to, one, get out of the studio, because I've been in here way too long mixing this thing and all that. And I like to go find a spot near nature, could be a coffee shop, around the city, whatever. Somewhere that's not the studio. Somewhere where I can't access the session and make another tweak because I'm overthinking the mix. It's a really good way to confirm that you are happy with the mix, that you do like it and you put all this work into it and it sounds good, and that's it. It's ready to be heard by the world. So yeah, that's just my little thing I like to do. I don't know why, but I just do. So at the moment it is nighttime because I spent all day kind of finalizing the mix and master. But in the morning, I'm gonna find a nice little spot. Don't know where yet, but we'll see. And we're gonna take a final listen together. So until then, I'm gonna get some sleep and I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, so I decided to take a little drive out to a park right on the river called Kennedy Point Park. It's in Titusville on the east coast of Florida, Brevard County. And I'm over here in Titusville quite a lot, and I knew of this park, and I figured for the final listen of the mix, nice spot near the water, it's kind of a vibe, so here we are. So I think there's a couple benches that overlook the water, so I'm gonna find a spot, and then we'll take a final listen. Alright, so I've stepped out of the car into this beautiful scenery of the river. Honestly, the perfect space to listen to a mix, or any music, that is. But gonna find a nice spot that looks over the water and gonna have a final listen together. Let's check it out. Alright, let's have a listen.
There are things in this life that don't make sense to me. Things that my eyes can hardly bear to see. And I just can't come to terms with the darkness in the world that's surrounding me. The kind of evil that takes a life when two souls just don't agree. So how much longer can we go on like this, drifting further apart? 'Cause all I see is the absence of love and a flame that's growing dark. No, it shouldn't take a war to realize that we all bleed the same. So let us find what it means to be human before it's too late. 'Cause we were meant to be dreamers. We were meant to be free. We were meant to find peace in the chaos and love unconditionally.
Well, there you have it. It's my song Dreamers, from rough idea to finished product. Dang, what a special song. I love it. All right, so we're gonna head back to the studio and we'll wrap this video up. So there we have it, my original song called Dreamers. Honestly, out of all the songs I've ever written, ever produced, this has to be one of the most meaningful, impactful songs I've ever written, and I'm honestly super proud of it. But all that aside, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you got a ton of value out of seeing the process from a raw idea all the way to a finished production. Again, just keep in mind that this is my personal process of how I produce and how I write and stuff like that. And your way might look a little different, but hopefully you still found this video useful and you might have picked up on some things you want to try next time you produce a song. But all in all, the reason I make these videos is, one, I absolutely love making music. I love writing, I love recording, I love producing. And when I finally reach the end with a final product, it's like the most fulfilled feeling I could ever feel. And the second and probably more important reason is I just love sharing the process with you guys. And I just thoroughly enjoy sharing the knowledge that I've accumulated over years and years of doing this. Because I know when I was coming up, a lot of people like to gatekeep information. But at the end of the day, every single one of us is going to produce different art. It's almost impossible to fully imitate another person's art, because we all have our own experiences, our own feelings, our own thoughts, our own perspectives on life. So as long as you're equipped with the right tools and the right knowledge to make great quality art, there's really nothing that's going to stand in your way. All right, so all that aside, before I let you guys go, I want to mention a few quick things. The first thing is I made a vintage indie folk drum sample pack that I think you guys would really freaking love. I recorded a bunch of one-shots and some really freaking cool loops on my Mapex Saturn 4 kit, and I ran them all through my Akai reel-to-reel tape machine. They sound freaking awesome. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, there's a link in the description below. It really helps the channel, so if you end up trying it out, I really appreciate you. And the last thing is, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I would greatly appreciate if you did. That being said, if you guys have any content requests, such as like mixed breakdowns for these songs or more live acoustic versions of these songs like I did the last time, please do let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to work on that for you guys. All right, so with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.